Hey, what's up?
How's the bye week been so far?
There's not a bye week yet, so I get to leave.
Well, I mean, listen, it's technically the the pre-bye week. Let's call it that. Is there, by the way, you'll probably say it doesn't matter, but is there an optimal time for the bye week when it comes to teams that you've been on, and where does this one fit in?
I think around this time, if you can either be able to split the season in half or be close a week or two, like either in front of or behind, like I just think it allows you to, for one, get a good amount of football in, work hard, but also get that rest you need to kind of, as we say here, refuel the tank and get going for the back half of the year. Like I've played, and you get those like week 4, week 5 bye weeks. Man, you're in it. You're talking about 6-7 weeks later, and you're just praying. You got a Thursday night game mixed in there to get that little 10-day break. So I think we got pretty good time, and I think the hard thing with anything is to try to keep that going. Coming off a win, how do you get to your bye week rest, but also stay focused and try to find an edge for yourself individually, and then ultimately as a team going into the back half of the year.
Plus, you get to catch up on your Netflix binges.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to watch yet. The problem is I'm going to go stay with Jay, so that's going to be 6 kids in one house and no school. So like that's going to be a tough break. So we'll have to see how that works out for me.
Devin, does it suck when you are coming back from a bye and the team you're facing is also coming off of a bye? It gives you guys, I guess, less of an advantage for coming off of rest when the other team is maybe a little bit beat up?
Yeah, it's not that it sucks, but it's like, oh man, like that advantage that we're supposedly supposed to have isn't an advantage. Like it's the same. So I think this is a very unique situation because we're gonna play a team that we just played, and then we both played one game, then we both had a bye week, and then we're gonna play each other. So it's like the ultimate, like even playing field that you can get. So division game, they obviously had a huge win. Beating Buffalo in the division. So it's going to be a tough game. I think even looking at the last game, I'm sure they're watching that game and just talk about the same things we've talked about during the year, like, creating turnover opportunities and not turning the ball over offensively. I think they'll probably be saying that same thing will be their winning formula, and, I think we'll be thinking the same way.
Dev, you just brought up creating turnovers. I think one thing that we saw through the first half of the season with this defense is that that's what you guys do. You're very opportunistic. You create turnovers. You get after the quarterback. What's the kind of like the mindset, the approach for the bye week, but also continuing that into the second half of the season to be one of the best teams in the NFL?
Yeah, I think something I've heard Bill say over my years here, the things that we do well, we got to work hard to continue to do them well and keep that at the forefront. We can't let the things we do well slip. But I think one of the biggest things during the bye week is trying to find the things that we haven't done well, like playing against some of the quarterback design run plays, doing a good job on scramble plays, going into the second half of the season to be doing a good job in coverage. We're going to play, starting off with the Jets and then going to Minnesota, then Buffalo. Like we're going to play some teams that have dynamic receivers. And, not looking too far ahead, but I would say Garrett Wilson has really come into his own, for the Jets. And then it'll be Justin Jefferson and Thielen and then Diggs and Davis. So, I think that is something that we're going to have to, work on and be ready to go. And then, like you said, Wiggy, just making sure that we continue as we're watching film, as we're practicing, seeking those opportunities to take advantage of turnovers and make sure that we have that edge and that advantage.
Speaking of things that Bill says, I asked Bill on this show Monday about Tom Brady getting 100,000 yards, and he gushed all over Tom Brady. It was like a geyser, like a Yellowstone geyser.
You said it like you're surprised.
And then doesn't Tom Brady go on his podcast on Monday night and he gushes all over Bill? He went so far as to say that he watches every single New England Patriots game. So
that's because we're friends.
Yeah. But in your mind, I like, can you see a rekindling of the love affair? And is it possible that the two of them will ever work together again?
Well, that's a tricky question. I think they have so much respect and everything. I think a lot of things that are said is never from them two about each other. It's always speculation or stories or whatever you want to call it. But will they work again? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like when you say that, everyone first thinks of, like, head coach and quarterback. But who knows? Like, what if they open up a coffee shop or something together? Like, who knows? Who knows, like, what the future holds? Like, Bill's working out all the time in here. Tom does TB12. Like, I don't know. Do they open up BB12 and, put both the names? Like, I have no idea. But, I wouldn't put it past anyone to see those two. I mean, they've created gold.
Yeah.
Why stop there?
I feel like Bill might be kind of a gruntled barista. Like, I don't know that I think he should work behind the counter, maybe not front facing with the customers.
Well, he would have to own something like in New York City where we're strict to the point. Order what you order, make it a fast order. Like that's what he would like. You couldn't come in there with a detailed order. Like, that's not happening.
He's running it like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld.
Yeah. I don't think coffee's on the TB12 method either, so that might be an issue.
It probably isn't.
Well, that's the blend of it. That's the blend of them.
By the way, congratulations. You guys got another head coach in the NFL fired, so great job on that.
I heard my brother gave me a shout-out on NFL Network. I think Jeff Saturday played 13 years. I'm at year 13. So I just need a TV experience and look out next. I think I'm going to try to be a head football coach. So don't blink. You might see that sooner than later.
Is it from a player perspective, though? We look at it and say, wow, this Jeff Saturday has zero coaching experience in the NFL. I mean, unless you count high school. But is it possible that that's what that team needs? Like, can you imagine yourself on that team with somebody like Jeff Saturday suddenly as your interim head coach?
Again, I will say this. I think the no coaching experience. I think you need how are you going to run your day? How your practice script, like the relationships. I think sometimes, I think obviously as a former player, I think you have great instincts. You've been around football, but I think sometimes we devalue in this game the relationship building part of it. So, now you're going to walk into a team that's already been playing. They've already worked hard for Frank Wright and the different coaches on that staff that I'm sure some of those players see as great coaches and love what they have done for them and probably might feel like they deserve an opportunity to be a head coach. Like, who knows how some of those guys feel. But now Jeff Saturday has to walk in and automatically he's the leader. And some of those guys might not feel like, I don't know, but I think we kind of downplay, that we talk about the X's and O's. We talk about being a player, former player, or where you coach. I think sometimes it's more about the relationships. And I think if he has that and he can form that, then he'll have a chance. But I know for me as a player, it would be very hard for me to believe that, I don't know, like Vince Wilfork, like Vince could just come back in here, right now in this part of the season and be our head coach. Like, I would be looking at V, man, like, man, you can't tell me what to do. You don't know how to play in the secondary. Like, what are you going to tell me? So it's very interesting.
Well, Dev, I think that's an interesting.
What about Wiggy? Wiggy could walk right in and be your head coach.
It's different. I've coached at the youth level before, and I won a Super Bowl at the 8th grade level, so it was very, very good.
Wiggy coaches so he can start his kid. I mean, let's be honest. That's why Wiggy coaches.
My kid plays defense. So. Yeah, but that's an interesting point that you make, is that because I think a lot of people kind of just look at the coach and say, oh, this guy's a former player. But, talk about the relationship. I mean, you have a relationship with not only Stephen Belichick, who, a lot of people tend to give him flack because he's Bill's kid, but also...
Not a lot, just Curtis, my colleague here, but go ahead.
But also Jerod Mayo coming in and kind of being able to, like you said, earn that respect, earn that trust from guys. You just can't kind of live on, oh, I used to be a player, but talk about the relationship you have with those guys and how they have proven that they could earn the respect of the room.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Like, you basically explained. I think, like, even Mayo coming in, there's guys in here, like, we'll turn on some of the old film, and there'll be Brian Cox on there. And some of the guys are like, Mayo, is that you? Like, they don't know. Like, they know Mayo wore 51, but they don't know the extent of the type of player he was, what he demanded as a player, how many things he led his own as a player on the field. So I think it's always important to remember, like, you're stepping into a new job. Like, it's a brand new opportunity, new people. Like, you have to earn that respect. And I know for me, like, obviously I already had a relationship with Mayo as players and peers. But, like, even with me and Steve, like, starting when he was my safety coach and, you know, the conversations we would have, or, you know, him telling me something and then it working out, like, that builds trust, and that's day in and day out. And I think about players and what it takes, you know, for us to play with each other is trust from training camp all the way through. When I give you a check and I tell you, like, hey, alert this, and it happens, and you play to it and I play to it, like, that builds another strand of trust. And I think coaches, it's very important to have that. Like, it's hard to just come in and tell players exactly what to do this, do that. If they don't, you know, if they don't trust you or think like, all right, this guy has prepared and is ready for this job. So, and I think it'll be important for indies, you know, their leaders and all those things will work out and figure all that stuff out. But I think we kind of sometimes underestimate how challenging it is to walk into a building and try to coach up guys and get a bunch of guys that all have individual goals and things they want to do and get them all to play on their one accord for one goal, and that's to win.
Speaking of Steve, have you ever tried to throw something into his mouth when it is wide open during a game, or seen a bug fly in there?
I have not. That is never my focus, right?
Well, your focus in the locker room is to be a voice, I think, for a lot of the guys. And Mac Jones said something interesting after the game on Sunday and said the team moving forward needs to do a better job not riding the wave. In your mind, what does that mean? And is that kind of a collective thought in the locker room between all of you guys that you need to do a better job? In my mind, I read that as not being too high or being too low.
Exactly. I think, I think that's very important. I think good football teams have a consistent, I would say, standard work level, preparation level. Like, everything you do every week is a standard, and you always get to that standard because at some point in the season you have to raise that standard if you want to still be standing with some of the better teams in the league. So, and we've talked about that throughout the year, not playing two games, playing Detroit and Cleveland, and now just riding high and thinking you got to figure it out, and taking a bad loss to Chicago where you just don't play well and they come in and play really well to, like, get you going again. Like, how about just every week we kind of put that same foot forward and we do the same things and we build on that. So I think every guy in this locker room is trying to do that individually, and then we're trying to make sure each unit does that so we can make our football team better.
Devin, enjoy the time off. We could recommend. What do we? Maybe did you watch the Dahmer thing on Netflix? That's a good binge.
I haven't. I heard it's good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got a good thing for him. The BMF documentary, Blowing Money Fast. I don't know if you're familiar with the Black Mafia family, Big Meech and them. That's a good documentary on Starz Network.
Yeah. Is season 2 out? I watched that already.
Yeah, no. They have the season 2's coming out. This is the actual documentary.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's the actual documentary with him calling from federal prison and just talking about how the whole thing basically started. So it is. If you watch the show, you know what the show is, but the documentary is really good.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
The Watcher, too, is also really good if you haven't watched that.
Don't waste your time
no,
on it.
Wiggy,
Don't
it's
do
good.
it.
It's good.
No, the ending stinks.
Okay, it's still very good.
See, now that's confusing me because that's all my downloads on Netflix. So I was gonna watch that.
Don't
Watch
do
it.
I mean, it's not bad.
Courtney,
but
I don't know. It's not sounding.
Yeah.
Wiggy is a snob when it comes to TV shows.
No, I'm
Watch
not.
The Watcher. It's very good.
Oh, no. You'll be disappointed at the end. You will say, I wasted 9 hours for this crap.
True story.
All right, Devin. We will talk to you next week. Thanks, bud.
All right, guys, have a good one.